Šta je zapravo realnost? Po samoj definiciji to je činjenično stanje, istinitost. Da li je sama spoznaja dovoljna da se stvar, djelo, pojava ili stanje proglasi realni? Kakav utjecaj protok vremena ima na spoznaju realnost? Gdje je granica vremenskog trajanja kada se nešto proglašava realni? Šta znači to kada se kaže u tom trenutku je to bilo realno? Kada je taj trenutak prestao da bude realan? Mantra današnjih programera realnosti i globalnih manipulatora jeste: prihvatite realnost jer je to vaša nova normalnost. Jedno je sigurno, u ovoj realnosti mi ne vidimo stvari onakve kakve jesu, zapravo mi ih vidimo onakvim kakvim mi jesmo. U nedostatku našeg znanja otvara se put ka manipulaciji, a kad na pogrešnom mjestu tražimo bolje sjutra, na prvom mjestu dobijemo još gore juče. Poznavajući naše slabosti, naše neznanje i našu veoma povodljivu prirodu, programeri su kreirali program pod nazivom Matrix. Pa šta je to Matrix? Matrix je sistem kontrole, tačnije program koji dizajnira i reguliše svaki aspekt ljudskog postojanja u ovom materijalnom svijetu. Putem svojih kodova kreira našu percepciju, potiskuje svijest, inicijativu, individualnost, a zauzvrat pojačava slabosti u nama. U Matrixu postoji samo programirana volja i ta programirana volja poštuje samo svoju sopstvenu volju. Autor Kiron Last i njegov dokumentarac pod nazivom Zlatna mreža se fokusira na dekodiranje Matrixa putem samog njegovog jezika. Etimologija i fonetika su nauke koje će biti neophodne ne bi li se putem porijekla riječi, razdvajanja riječi, tumačenja njihovog značenja i samog njihovog zvuka došlo do skrivenih značenja koja su u samom jeziku skrivena od strane programera ove materijalne realnosti. Zbog same kompleksnosti teme i moga htjenja da ovu materiju približim vama, pokušat ću dodati objašnjenja o nama gdje budu neophodni.
What is definition? Is it simply the determining or settling of something, or a statement of the meaning of a word or a word group? Or is it something else? Is it also a definition? Perhaps it is more along these lines.
Fenikija je bila drevna talasokratska civilizacija ili pomorska država koja je potekla iz regiona Levant na istočnom Mediteranu, a koja se prvenstveno nalazila na prostoru današnjeg Libana. Feničani, Sidonci, Hananci i Puni su bili stari pomorsko-trgovački narod, vladali su Sredozemnim morem. Fenička civilizacija je bila organizovana u gradovima državama slično onima u drevnoj Grčkoj, od kojih su najznačajniji bili Tir, Sidon, Biblos i Kartagina, koja se nalazila na mjestu današnjeg Tunisa, a koja je ujedno i bila dragulj Feničanskog trgovačkog carstva. Feničani su također zaslužni za inovaciju u brodogradnji, plovidbi, industriji i poljoprivredi. Religija je bila kananska ili hananska. Skoro svaki aspekt kananske religije je kontroverzan među istoričarima. Veliki je broj božanstava u četvorostepenoj hijerarhiji. Ovdje ćemo navesti samo one glavne. Rimljani Feničane opisuju kao rasu beskrupuloznih profitera, prgavih trgovaca i još gore. Na njih se gledalo kao na moralno korumpiranu rasu koja je nasilno prostituisala svoje ćerke u svetim ritualima i ubijala svoje mlade u pokušaju da pridobije svoje nasilne bogove. Po mnogim istoričarima ovo je jedna od propagandi Rimskog carstva. Da li je ovo slučaj gdje pobjednik poraženom ispisuje istoriju nečijim tuđim djelima?
To be a deaf Phoenician means that one stops at what the words are defined as in the dictionary and doesn't look into the deeper etymology or the phonics of what the word is actually saying. It is my intent to give you, the listener, a key that has been hidden by the secret societies of the world, such as the Knights Templar. In fact, Templar is actually Spanish for key. A key is a means to open something that is locked. And once you have the key to unlock these secrets, everything will start to make sense in your life and this reality. To ensure that this key works, 4 things will need to be utilized. First, one has to understand the basic definitions of the word being looked at. Secondly, the etymology will have to be looked at as well, which is basically the study of the origins of the word. Thirdly, the phonics will have to be used, and this is where the Phoenicians are tied into phonics, thus Phoenicians, phonics, and that's where we get phoenix from, or talking on the phone. Thus the Phoenicians gave us the word for phone and phony when someone sounds phony on a phone. Phonics are also how the words are heard towards us, such as the word see. When you look at it, it's either the letter C or C as in an ocean, like a sea, and when we see with our eyes. I'm using the same word to describe different things, but when you understand the deeper levels of this, they actually all interconnect and tie together. Lastly, word splitting will be necessary, and that's basically where we take a portion of the word, such as the prefix or the suffix, and we look at alternate definitions within that, and to see if it links to other languages. And the word splitting itself can be brought down to basically nil, right down to the very letter. And this will be very important as well in our understanding. An easy example of word splitting can be given by using the word language, where we would have lan, gu, and age. When we take lan in its Chinese and Vietnamese context, it's actually the feminine name for orchid. But in Vietnamese, with the accent over the A, with lan, we actually have a different male context with a creature called the Kai Lan. And that was a dragon-type creature that was said to only protect the noble ones, and it was also known as the Ki Lin. Gu is the god of war in the Dahomey mythology. So now we have 2 tie-ins where we have a monster that protected the noble ones with Lan, and Gu, a god of war. So Lan Gu, and age is obviously through the ages of the zodiac, or how we age through this reality. So thus, Lan Gu ages, languages, would mean that we have a monster that protects the noble throughout the ages of the zodiac. So who or what exactly is that monster? Well, that's what we're going to find out. But first we have to do some more digging and go through some things that should be basic and general knowledge, but unfortunately is not, such as where the days of the week actually get their names from and what they actually represent. So Sunday, to start off, is actually representing the sun, obviously Sunday. And I'm going to tie this into one or two different languages. In the case of the days of the week, it'll actually be Romanian. In Romanian, Sunday is actually known as Duminica. Monday is the moon, and in Romanian, this is known as Luni. The Luna is another name for the moon, obviously.
Mjesec na mnoge načine utiče na površinu Zemlje. To je zbog djelovanja gravitacije koja djeluje iz svog bliskog položaja našoj planeti. Odrađena su mnoga naučna istraživanja za i protiv utjecaja mjeseca na ljudsko ponašanje. Istraživanja su analizirala pojačane umne aktivnosti, povećane posjete opštim ili psihijatrijskim medicinskim ustanovama i ljudske pritužbe na veći nivo fizičkih i psihičkih problema. Svi objekti, uključujući zvijezde, planete i satelite, zajedno sa svojim materijalnim vidljivim karakteristikama, emituju suptilne nevidljive frekvencije. Te fizičke karakteristike i suptilne frekvencije utiču na nas na fizičkom i suptilnom nivou. Također je interesantno da se mnogi ljudi nehotično uključuju u crnu magiju kada učestvuju u ritualima punog i mladog mjeseca, stvarajući sami sebi zamku toga dogovora i otvarajući portale za negativne entitete. Što je niža frekvencija duše, time su slabosti veće, čim su slabosti izražene samim tim i mjesečev efekat veći.
Tuesday is Mars Day, and the Romanian language reflects this with the word Marti, thus Marti Day or Mars Day. There was also a god named Tiu, or Tuesday, and that's where the English language gets the word Tuesday from. He was also a god of war. Wednesday is Mercury's day, and the Romanian language reflects this with the word Miercuri. In Anglo-Saxon paganism, the god for this day was called Wotan, or Woden, thus Woden's Day, or Wednesday. Thursday is Jupiter. The word in Romanian is Joi. In Norse mythology, Jupiter was known as Thor. This is why we have Thor's Day turned into Thursday. Friday is Venus, and their word is Vineri. The Galatian word for Friday is Venris, thus reflecting the tie into Venus a little more closely. Again, in Norse mythology, we have the goddess for Venus being called Freya. Therefore, we have Freya's Day, and now Friday. Saturday is Saturn's Day. That is pretty obvious just from the English language alone. Saturn Day. It is really amazing that this basic knowledge is not taught in school. Basically, no one knows of these things and the astrology behind it, and it's going to be very significant to keep all of this in mind, and to also take note that there's no Earth Day. That's going to be very significant as we keep going along. We are going to first look at the process of commerce as pertaining to the Phoenicians, who were known as the great merchants of the sea. and why this process, with all of its complex implications, continues unabated to this day, albeit for very sinister reasons, as will be shown. Let's first look at how one is born into the world, or whirled into the world. Why are we whirled? First off, from a pedantic perspective, this should be obvious, since the world is whirled on its axis. The writers of the Matrix movies also knew why, because the main character Neo is actually derived from the Latin word neo, that means spin, weave, or produce by spinning. How this process works in our reality is similar to the way the colors on a DVD movie are read by the DVD player. Each color is separated and read at different intervals of time. This is an exact correlation to the different distances of each planet from the sun, and the different lengths of time each planet takes to whirl around its own axis while also being spun around the sun. The sun is the centrifugal force which each body is forced to be pulled and pushed away from. This separation works in a 7-step process, which is why there are 7 major planets that give us the 7 days of the week. There are 7 notes in a mode of music, and we also see 7 colors in a rainbow. The symbolism of the rainbow alone is extensive and should be researched more deeply. The colors, sounds, and worlds that are whirled are all separated, because the prefix sep comes from the Latin septuma, meaning 7, which gave the word September, which was originally the 7th month of the Roman calendar. There are 7 chakras within the human body that the ancients called the spinning wheels of light. This is appropriate, because these colored wheels are whirled, and we live in a world of colors because we are humans. Hue is simply a word for color, and the quality of the colors determined by the dominant wavelength of each color. The Latin word ue literally means hither, and to this point place degree, indicating that it is the colors that resonate to a certain wavelength frequency and formulate the reality that we currently find ourselves in. There is an astounding amount of indication and evidence to show that we are multidimensional beings that are caught in a cycle of separation with a certain mathematical ratio of vibration waves holding us prisoner in a DVD movie-like loop. The ratio is the ration of the god Ra, Ra-tio, ratio, within this base 10 reality. 10 fingers and 10 toes, as the Swedish tiu states with the meaning of 10. The fake gods that hold us all prisoner also need to ration us because we are their food. The separation that is given to the gods while we exist inside of this DVD matrix reality. When Neo woke up in the Matrix, he was inside a battery womb or iPod, which is why Apple Computers sells everyone iPods and iPads to reflect this. One definition of pad that concurs with this is that of a temporary living quarters. We are all living in our iPads or iPods because we bit the apple of sin. Is that we are commanded to follow the orders of the DVD storyline that has been handed to us, since we have become the property of the god known as El, hence do what I say or else, indicating that if we do not follow the storyline, we will be punished by El. This is what is happening to every individual consciousness, and essentially no one is even aware that it's happening. Even as these things are told, they sound so fantastic that most likely they are either shirked off, ignored, or simply laughed at. Those are the typical responses of fear, especially in regard to substantial truths being told that are contained within the psyche of the collective subconscious mind of humanity. You as the living human being are the ore that is going to be mined for gold in your mind, because mind is mind, giving us the actual basis for the Sumerian depiction of the Anunnaki coming here to mine for gold, because we are the human resources that mined for gold. This also displays the fact that humans are seen as the chattel property of these false gods, since we are the ones they mine, and when someone states that something is theirs, they say that it's mine. We are the endless resource being mined.
Naučnici već dugo vjeruju da se prva civilizacija na zemlji pojavila u Sumeru prije nekih 6000 godina. Međutim, kako otkriva Michael Tellinger u svojoj knjizi Robovi bogova, tajna istorija Anunnakija i njihova misija na zemlji, Sumerani i Egipćani su sva svoja znanja naslijedili od ranije civilizacije koja je živjela na južnom vrhu Afrike i započela dolaskom Anunnakija prije više od 200.000 godina. Otkrivajući nove arheološke i genetske dokaze u prilog revolucionarnom radu Zekarije Sičina, a sa predbiblijskim glinenim počicama, Tellinger u svojoj knjizi pokazuje kako su Anunnaki manipulisali našom DNK, kontrolišući naše fizičke i mentalne sposobnosti, što i na kraju objašnjava zašto je aktivno manje od 3% naše DNK. Tellinger također pokazuje da tek kada čovječanstvo bude svjesno istine o našem porijeklu, možemo prevazići programiranu životinsku i robotsku prirodu na koju su nas sveli, kao i naučiti napraviti razliku između lažnih bogova i istinskog boga, ljubavi i kreatora našeg univerzuma.
Take a look at this Hebrew word. Does it look familiar? Perhaps like Neo again? Well, in Hebrew this translates into English as pin, and the Vietnamese word pin means battery. Taking this further, the Vietnamese language also has the word nhau, but it translates as anchor, because once a ship is docked, the anchor needs to be set down, therefore giving us the connections of Neo the battery who was anchored in his matrix womb being used as docked ore, the energy of electric gold making. Did you really think that it was just a movie? Again, the languages have been around for far longer than that Hollywood production came out, and I encourage everyone watching this to check out every single translation and word that is being presented. Like I said, this goes deep, and these examples are just the beginning. It would actually take many lifetimes to go through all of these connections in every single word in every language, not to mention the languages that are extinct and unknown. Once the human is birthed, they are also docked in by the docked hence docked What is It was an ancient Sumerian city that housed what was known as the ziggurat of also called Etimologija. This word meant house whose foundation creates terror. Everything in this reality is designed to make us fearful, and this starts right at birth. Interestingly enough, the patron deity of this city was the Akkadian moon god known as Sin. And it has been said over and over again to humanity that man is born in sin. Man bit the apple to then be continuously reborn in his and her Apple iPods, which becomes an unrepayable debt. What is the Merriam-Webster's #1 dictionary definition of the English word debt? Sin. To pay the debt of sin, which is the price of our birth and birth in the moon. Remember that the 7 days of the week do not include an earth day, since man is truly born in sin, the moon. First we are born, and begin to be used as battery energy, as the French language agrees, since the French word borne means pin, terminal boundary, stone, as associated with the Vietnamese word pen, meaning battery. This use of the word pin is the reason that banks get you to use a PIN number when using a bank card. When people vote, where do they do so? In a voting terminal or a polling station. In actuality, people are voting, not voting, because they are going to the polls, which are the electric battery poles of positive and negative, to place their votes on the candidate that they want to see put in charge. The politician that receives the most votes is the one that is going to be put into the position of power. It's not called power politics for nothing. The first metonymy we receive in our lives is literally our name. This is the identification stamp that we associate ourselves and others with, because it is our appellation, the apple of sin, that we bite where we forget who and what we truly are in substitution for an identity or id entity. What does every family want to see carried forward? Their name, as if this name will immortalize the individual themselves. This matrix program of the name has taken a literal stranglehold over the minds of the masses, and it does not appear to be letting go very much at all. The final step in this process is the microchip agenda, whereby every id will be implanted with an id entity RFID microchip underneath the skin that will be the demise of your free will. This will also give an id subconscious entity from another frequency spectrum of reality the ability to take over your body without needing your consent, thus id entity. The id is the reason that every government on this plan ET needs you to carry around ID. They need everyone to identify with their name, and not their higher awareness. We are born in sin, the moon, and we all die in sin, again the moon. This is the basis for the white light program that people see at their death when they are welcomed by the false representation of their loved ones, the terminal that everyone goes to during their departure from this reality. This is nothing more than an afterlife program written by the false alien gods who control every one of us who lives on this planet. And just for reference sake, here is one example of them telling us this in one of their television programs.
I'd rather be here in spirit than not at all. A captain doesn't abandon ship.
Every hour you stay here makes it that much more difficult to leave.
Why are you pushing me? I've made up my mind. I'm staying here.
The cortical stimulator is working. I'm getting a weak pulse.
She's coming back.
I'll use cordrazine along with the stimulator.
What was that? What happened?
What do you mean?
I saw Tuvok and Chakotay and the doctor.
Here?
No, it was different, as though I were looking up at them.
An hallucination like the others.
Oh, it didn't feel like the others. I didn't see myself. I was looking up at them. That's the real me, isn't it? Lying on the ground on that planet, dying. And this is the hallucination. This isn't real.
More denial. You're only making it harder on yourself.
You're trying very hard to convince me to come with you. Why is that? If what you're saying is true, why not let me come to the decision on my own?
I'm trying to spare you unnecessary pain.
My father would never act like this. He always believed I had to learn my own lessons, make my own mistakes. He never tried to shield me from life. Why would he try to shield me from death? You're not my father. I could be imagining you, but I don't think so. You have such a specific agenda. You're determined that I go with you somewhere. Who are you?
I'm trying to help you. Stop fighting me.
Are you an alien being of some kind? Is that it?
Her eyes are open.
Vital signs are responding. Blood pressure 60/30.
But the entity is still inhabiting her cerebral cortex, impeding your treatment. Catherine, hang on. We're bringing you back. Just fight a little longer.
Direct synaptic stimulation might drive out the alien presence.
I was right. I heard Tuvok and Chakotay and the doctor. You're an alien. You've created all these hallucinations, haven't you?
This is what my species does. At the moment just before death, one of us comes to help you understand what's happening, to make the crossing over an occasion of joy.
And what is that?
Our matrix, where your consciousness will live. I was being truthful when I said it was a place of wonder. It can be whatever you want it to be.
Then why didn't you tell me this from the beginning? Why pretend to be my father?
Usually people are comforted to see their loved ones. It makes the crossing over a much less fearful occasion. I've done this many times, but I've never encountered someone so resistant.
Something's happening. The alien presence is getting stronger again.
Fight it, Catherine. Fight it just a little longer.
I'll have to try a Thoron pulse.
My people are telling me to fight. They're trying to save me.
They're trying out of desperation. It's hopeless.
You're the one who sounds desperate. I don't get the feeling you're trying to make me comfortable. You're only interested in my agreeing to come with you.
Because it's inevitable.
And you don't strike me as any kind of good Samaritan. You're more like a vulture, preying on people at the moment of their death when they're most vulnerable.
I've waited for you. I've been patient.
But your patience is wearing thin. What's the real reason you want me in that matrix? Somehow I don't think it has anything to do with everlasting joy.
You must go with me.
If you could force me to go, you'd have done it already. You need me to agree, don't you? I have to go voluntarily.
Wouldn't that be better than standing here in this endless debate?
Let me tell you this. We can stand here for all eternity, and I will never choose to go with you.
You're in a dangerous profession, Captain. You face death every day. There'll be another time, and I'll be waiting. Eventually, you'll come into my matrix. And you will nourish me for a long, long time.
Go back to hell, coward.
Fizička smrt predstavlja samo vrata za prolaska drugim oblicima života, istovremeno početak rađanja novog oblika života. Pa evo i analogiju u prilog tome. Najprije se čovjek zameće i živi u majčinoj utrobi. Tamo je svoj drugačiji svijet. Tamo nema svjetla, drugih bića, zvukova, vazduha, ograničen je prostor, ograničena sloboda i tako dalje. U tom drugom svijetu ljudski embrion živi oko 9 mjeseci. On se navikava na taj svijet, njemu je tamo udobno i bezbjedno. Zatim nastaje rađanje, taj moment je bolan i mučan, dijete prelazi iz jednog svijeta u sasvim drugi. Stari svijet ga odbacuje i život se pretače u drugi svijet. U procesu rađanja dijete osjeća strah, njega izbacuje iz prvobitnog i udobnog svijeta. Njemu se čini da se život završio, da ono umire. Prilikom rađanja dijete sa mukom prolazi kroz matericu i vaginu, kao kroz tunel ulazi u novi svijet. Sva svjedočenja onih ljudi koji su preživjeli kliničku smrt su analogna tome. Svi opisuju kretanje kroz nekakav tunel, hodnik i tome slično. U dobroj porodici dijete koje se rađa već dočekuju na ovom svijetu njegovi bliski, koji su na ovaj svijet došli prije njega. Kada čovjek umre na ovom svijetu i pređe na onaj svijet, tamo ga također dočekuju njegovi bliski koji su tamo otišli prije njega. Ova epizoda Star Treka nam prikazuje da se Matrix ne slaže sa time da mi tek tako napustimo ovu realnost, putem koje se hranio nama. Po prikazanom vidimo da čak i u našem najranjivijem stanju, prelaski iz jedne realnosti u drugu, putem emocija u vidu nama bliskih osoba i putem manipulacija, nas želi vratiti onamo gdje se oni pitaju. Duše koje nisu uspjeli da za svog života, što zbog svojih slabosti, što zbog manipulacije samog Matrixa, pod broj 1 da steknu određena znanja, putem kojih vidimo zadnju namjeru svih dobrih namjera ove realnosti, pod broj 2 da shvate koja je prava suština našeg života u ovoj realnosti, umjesto one koju su nam navukli preko očiju, ne bili sakrili činjenicu našeg podčinjenja ovom sistemu, i pod broj 3 da shvate značenje borbe i na kraju očuvanja svog istinskog ja tokom našeg kratko datog vremena u ovoj realnosti. Te duše jednostavno neće uspjeti zaobići posebno dizajnirani program Matrixa, koji ima za cilj da obezbijedi njihov ponovni povratak u nekom možda novom obliku, okružen nekim novim ljudima, sa nekom novom pričom, ali i s istom namjenom na ovoj fari. Jednu stvar koju moramo shvatiti jeste da u ovoj realnosti ne postoje slučajnost, niti teorije zavjere. Sa malo istraživanja vrlo brzo ćemo doći do zaključka da postoji samo jedno, a to je zadnja namjera.